face it the other way though. All right, guys, we are here and we are live with Skip, and he is gonna tell his story today, and we're gonna talk. We're doing it live for right now, just so we can bullshit and talk while we're here, anyways. So he's gonna tell his story, and Skip, just go ahead and start with when you were a kid.
All right, guys. Well, I'm Skip, part of Scottie and Skip. And as you can tell, I'm quite a bit older than Scottie, twice as old. But so are most of my friends are quite a bit younger because I enjoy the energy. Anyway, my story, I don't know if it's that impressive or interesting or not, but Scottie wants me to tell it. Evidently, he found some interest in it. I'm 61, born in 1964. I grew up basically in the 80s. I was 17 and had a tragic accident with a girlfriend of mine. I backed over her with our boat and cut her leg off, and she passed away before we could get to the dock. So that kind of made me grow up pretty quick, because of all the legal problems and whatnot. Um, my dad, I think, was a contributing factor. He passed away when I was 19 from a heart attack, and so I blame a lot of blame a lot of that on what he went through. So I had to grow up pretty quick. Really didn't enjoy most of my teens. When I had a football scholarship and played football in college, and uh, um, I was heavily involved in politics, Republican politics. In fact, I got my master's in political science from UNC. Um, yeah, and I thought that's what I was going to really base my future and my career on. Actually, I wanted to get into the Air Force. Um, I wanted to get my
Hi, Ria. Thank you for coming in.
wanted to get my master's and then go into the Air Force and get into foreign service. Um, but I broke my leg playing football, and the Air Force didn't want me at that point. So I kind of had to change careers. And when I got my master's, I kind of got burned out in politics. Last campaign I ran was for Attorney General for Colorado. She won and later became the attorney or the Secretary of the Interior under Bush. So I kind of went out on a high note. Anyway, when I got out of school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had a hair up my ass and I opened a restaurant and bar in Denver. And we were pretty darn successful for about 3 years. And then I just got really bored of the routine. The day-to-day crap just bores the hell out of me. So I sold it. And when I was in college, I was working for a group of men that had different bars and nightclubs. And when I sold the restaurant, they found out about it and they offered me the vice presidency of a chain of nightclubs. And I had moved back to Fort Lauderdale. I was raised between Fort Lauderdale and Denver. And so moved back to Fort Lauderdale full time. And we were a very successful nightclub chain. Won't say what it was, but we were the highest grossing nightclub in the country at one time, which actually the world, if you look at it. These were 50, 60,000 square foot nightclubs. Back then, I was kind of consider myself one of the first nightclub or club kids, rather. Um, and did that. Unfortunately, the men that I worked for weren't the most scrupulous, and um, unfortunately, a lot of them went to prison. And I thought at that point my life was pretty much over. It was really kind of poetic. It was. I was telling my friends last night. I've had one Armani suit in my life, and it was just amazing. And I had a meeting with Jack Daniels, not the distributor, but the whole fucking company, and they were going to infuse us with some marketing funds. And so remember that morning, putting my Armani suit on, putting my Versace tie on, and just looking sharp. Got in my BMW. I was ready to go. I was ready to take the world on. And my ex-boyfriend called me, and he worked for me, and he said, "Don't come to the club. Whatever you do, don't. We're getting raided." Just as I was pulling in the parking lot, he tells me this, and I see a bunch of ATF and FBI vans, and so I just sat there listening to the talking heads, and I did what every self-respecting man in my position would do. I did a couple lines and pulled out my flask and just kind of watched my life unravel in front of me. And then I made a couple of phone calls after the shock wore off, and some of the other executives with the company, and we decided to get some lunch outside of Miami, somewhere that the FBI couldn't find us. And we decided we were going to open another chain of nightclubs. So we opened another club. It was an amazing club. It was in Fort Lauderdale. We had one in Miami and one in Atlanta, and the club was about 50,000 square feet. It was a big dance club, and it was a rave every Friday and Saturday night. It was nothing but a rave. And during the week, we had a couple of good nights during the week, which you do that in a nightclub, you're doing pretty well. But we did that, and as I said, it was very successful. The first band I booked was David Bowie, who happened to be a personal friend of mine. He did that out of friendship, and we had some amazing bands. I hired Three Doors Down as our house band. So we were pretty darn successful, and we had a lot of fun. I look back now, and I don't know if I'd change anything. I had a pretty fascinating life at that point. But I started getting a little older, started getting in my late 30s, and decided that maybe I needed to slow down a little bit. I was going through relationships like most people do underwear. It's really not conducive to having a good relationship working in the nightclub business. So I opened a steakhouse outside of Fort Lauderdale. And again, I gotta say, I don't know how it happens, but when it comes to the restaurant business, I tend to have a bit of a Midas touch. The failure at everything else, but do pretty well in the hospitality business. But anyway, got an offer from a fella that had more money than sense, and my partner and I decided to sell. And at that point, I was 42 and decided to retire. I had the funds, and my mom needed me. She was having some health problems, so decided to call it quits at 42, which in retrospect was probably not a good idea. You're a little too young to give it up at that point. There's only so much bourbon and so much golf you can play, and it did come down to that. I invested everything that I had in a gentleman, well, not a gentleman, he's a complete asshole. His name was Bernie Madoff, if anyone is familiar with that. Lost everything overnight, everything I worked for 20 some years. Blood, sweat, and tears, 6 days a week, 80 hours a week. Worked my freaking ass off, and I lost it overnight. And I guess most people could have just given up. I was reading an interesting article that Kevin Bacon went through the same thing with the same guy. Of course, I'm sure he had a hell of a lot more money than I had in it, but everything is relevant. But anyway, I got over it, got a few dollars back. I became a partner in a home health care company here in Boise, and was doing well. Then the stock market crashed. It's like, wow, just one thing after another. But again, you weather through it. You get through it. I did try to, after my mother passed away, it was kind of the final straw, and I tried to off myself a couple of times. Spent some time in mental hospitals, or homes for the perpetually nervous. Um, but which I'm not going to say it was right or wrong. That's when you're in the depths of who knows what's right or wrong. But I withstood it, and we found out that I had bone cancer, sarcoma of the bone, and they gave me some options. One of them was losing my leg, which Scottie, he lost his leg, and I just wasn't prepared for that. I don't know if I'd be prepared for it today, but
it's a pretty hard thing to prepare for, to be honest.
Yeah, you can't. There's no way in hell you can. But I just said no. I said we're gonna try my way, and I went through 3 years of chemo and 3 years of hell, which I don't, again, retrospect, I don't know if I should have just gone through with the amputation and just gotten it over with, but I didn't, and it's been 3 years and I'm cancer free. Knock on wood somewhere. So I lived through it. Through all those things, you build character, and God knows I have a lot of character, a lot of character and a lot of white hair. So I found myself almost 60 years old, and I needed to go back to work. And you have all this experience, you have a master's, you have these great qualifications, but when you're 60 years old, people tend to hesitate in hiring you. I know they say that there's no age discrimination, which is bullshit. It's rampant. And quite frankly, I'd probably question whether I would hire a 60-year-old guy. I don't know. I've never been faced with that. I like the experience in someone my age. We've been around the block, but you bring a lot of luggage with you, a lot of baggage. And unfortunately, guys my age, I think they know everything, and which is really a shame because I don't. And I would be willing to learn whatever your practices are. I have no problem with that. I'm pretty flexible. People say I'm morally flexible, which I don't know. That could be taken many ways. But so anyway, I'm in that position and wound up in the same spot that Scottie's in, and which again, it's just life's lesson. It's I learn something new every day about myself, about my fellow man. So it's I guess it as far as my I am an alcoholic and ex addict. I say that I haven't used cocaine in 25 years, and that was my heyday in the nightclubs, which back in the 80s in Miami, duh, you'd have to be a complete Mormon not to partake in that back then. But anyway, I do have a problem with the drinking. I still love it. don't want to give it up, but I have to. Yeah, it's a great crutch. It's a great relief, but or release rather. So I'm working on that, and I've got a lot of support, and I'm successful for the most part. Certainly not the party boy that I used to. I guess when it got to, I started as a fraternity boy, and then I was a club kid, and then I was a playboy, and then all of a sudden I turned into just an old drunk, and it's like, wow, that's a pretty hard pill to swallow. So that's why I really changed. And there's a lot to life that's still worth living. And no matter whatever I went through, um, I'm still pretty resilient. Uh, I'll fight back. And I've got a lot of good friends. Scottie's one of them that I look forward to seeing every day. And of course, Riley, our ghost busting dog, which is my little prince. He keeps me going. But anyway, um, I look back. I partied with anyway, God, Johnny Depp to um, rock stars to pretty famous writers. Of course, all alcoholics, but whatever.
I
Um,
digress.
yes, I digress. Uh, Hunter Thompson was one of my favorite party buddies, and he was a complete fucking animal. Um, Intelligent as hell, but just a weirdo, and I loved him. But yeah, so I gotta say I've had some pretty interesting relationships in my life. So I look back, I have had a pretty interesting life. Won't say that I work for the mafia, but I whatever.
You already just did, so
I guess I did. Not going to say who or where or when.
Dry snitching.
Yeah. Um,
Just kidding,
but
guys.
no, they treated me well, and as long as you don't steal from them and you do a good job, they treated me like gold. And I I look back now, and a lot of my friends that went to prison at that point were my age now, and now they're getting out and they're in their 80s, and it's like, fuck, I couldn't imagine that. So it's like, things like that kind of straighten you up a little bit. Um, I don't know. That's pretty much. It's kind of it's an interesting story, but it's I condense it. Um, I've pretty much lived a lot of different lives. I was in politics. I was the youngest elected official in the Republican Party in Colorado's history at one point. Um, Chairman of the Young Republicans, College Republicans, uh, my county party. I was on the state executive committee. It's funny. It's interesting about the political thing, though. Is usually folks that age are usually pretty liberal and flexible morally. Um, the older I get, the more I become more flexible, and I realize that everything is not black and white. It's not. Nothing is black and white. I'll argue to the death with anyone. And I started realizing, the plight of the human condition in the United States. It's it tears my heart out because what I'm going, notwithstanding what I'm going through, or Scottie or our friends are going through. There's a lot of suffering, and the greatest country in the world, which we are, we still have a lot of work to do. Uh, People going without health care, without proper nutrition, education. Um, it just shouldn't be. And like I said, we're still the greatest country in the world, but there's just a lot of unnecessary wrongs going on. And I think it's really it's incumbent upon us to change that. Just us everyday human beings, just treating each other better, uh, volunteering, just helping each other out. And, that's what made this country great. I look at, my dad, I'm a baby boomer, and my dad was, part of that greatest generation, which they were. I mean, they were amazing people living through the Depression. A lot of your grandparents, great grandparents, um, they sacrificed a hell of a lot for us, and I think we need to remember that. As far as the baby boomers, yeah, we partied hard in the '80s. We worked hard. We fucking made money by hook or crook, and I think we accomplished a lot. Um, I think outside of the greatest generation, I think we came pretty darn close to being second. I don't have anything negative about young people.
I do.
Well, Scotty does, but I don't.
I just think y'all should learn to be better.
Yeah, well, we should all be better, but
Stop being such shit sticks and just
yeah,
come
yeah,
on.
yeah. No,
Come
I,
on.
I know, I know. It frustrates me when
This isn't
when
Burger.
kids don't know what's
No.
going on in the world because they aren't being taught, or they're just so fucking self-absorbed in these goddamn video games
Or
and,
they think it's like Burger King and they think they can have it their way.
yeah, yeah,
Life don't work that
it
way,
does
guys.
not. You don't get it your way. You're lucky if you get some mustard on your ass. But yeah, I try to retrospectively. I think every generation has a problem with the new generation, but um, I think the country's probably not going in the right direction. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Um, it's not going in the right way. It's not going the American way. And again, I'm not going to blame it on one party or the other. We
No,
both
because
need to
it's
fucking straighten
everybody at the
out.
moment.
Yeah, we need to tighten up. Stop all this hatred and this fighting. Um, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for the country. It's not healthy for each other. I remember when I was in politics, you could disagree and get away with it. You could agree to disagree. Um,
No, show that. Show that.
what, my watch?
Yeah, dude said nice watch,
Oh,
Hunk.
oh,
I was just waiting to
all right.
acknowledge him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just so
Um,
Skip,
yeah.
just so, because Skip didn't know this part was coming. We are going to ask some questions that are going to make this story go a little more in depth. Also, if anybody's watching, if you have questions for him, let me know and I will relay them to him.
Yeah, I mean, I committed to this, so I'm certainly open. Um, Anything you have to ask, but anyway, that's pretty much in a nutshell. I didn't mention that when I was 20, I lost two of my fraternity brothers in a bar fire. Um, some drunk chick wanted to see if the tree would go up, or the garland would light on fire. So I guess it's with all the unnecessary deaths that I've experienced. Um, I have a little different view on death as well. I think we're predestined, personally, and you can pray your ass off. You can do whatever you want. If it's your time, it's your time, man. Hopefully, you're not on the toilet, or a 17-year old,
I
or
don't want to have an Elvis death for sure.
a 17-year-old finding you on the toilet. That'd be really embarrassing. 18-year-old, excuse me, I'm not
Or
a
having your kid
pedophile.
fucking fight you.
Yeah, that would be groovy. But yeah. Anyway, so
So,
that's about it with my story.
the
Hope it.
beginning of the questions are going
Yep.
to start now.
All right.
So, one thing I've always wanted to, because we've talked about it, but I've held it back for this situation. So you see how kids grow up now. You've seen how the last generation grew up. Okay, what in your eyes, like when you were growing up as a kid, what was it like to experience being a kid? Because like I was saying the other day, we grew up in a different generation, things were different, and then the kids now generation, it's
Yeah,
way different.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah. I guess probably it was a kinder time, a lot gentler time. Um, we in the summers, Jesus, we'd be on our bikes at 6 in the morning, and we wouldn't be back until our parents would yell at us because we'd be late for dinner. We'd be on our bikes, skateboarding, doing all sorts of things that probably weren't conducive to a healthy lifestyle as far as broken bones and whatnot. But I think we had a lot more respect um, for our elders. Um, really, I mean, for each other. I was raised. You were home by 6 o'clock to have dinner with the family, and which we've lost. No one eats together anymore, and
oh,
uh,
now it's weird to eat together.
it is. It's almost uncomfortable,
Yeah, you're like, why?
and it's
Why are
like,
you fucking next to me while I'm eating, bro? Get the
yeah,
fuck out of
yeah,
here.
dude. And it's that's so disquieting because it's like that is the most enjoyable time you can have with your partner or your family, friends, is just sitting down and breaking bread together, and you can talk about things that are a hell of a lot easier than where else would you find a situation that you could actually sit down and talk like that. Everyone's so fucking busy anymore, and they're doing this and doing that. I'm a firm believer that the kids should be involved in sports and extracurricular activities, but when it really starts cutting into family time, I think that should be curtailed. And I think a lot of parents use that as kind of a babysitter. Get them involved in this and that. It's like then you don't have to, do your job. And that's really what it comes down to. Other people raising your kid. Again, I've always played football. I wrestled. I was in track, in the debate club. I mean, a lot of extracurricular activities that help form who I am. But yet, it still didn't uh, curtail me from actually interacting with my family and my friends. Um, so I think that's a big difference. I wouldn't know how to be a young person today. I would be lost. With the video games and all this, and I wouldn't know how to do it. Even when I remember when Pong came out, we had to have my dad had to have the game Pong, and I played it for like 5 minutes, and it's like, fuck, this is boring as shit. I want to go out and get on my bike. And so I think that right there, that's the difference between being raised today and being raised back in the '60s and '70s. Um, you
Okay.
know,
So that brings my next question because so in my personal opinion, the school system has become lazy and weak
mm-hmm.
and don't care about their young. So what I know it was different when you were a kid, because I feel like teachers cared a lot more. I think parents cared a lot more. I also think kids cared a lot more. So in your opinion, I mean, what would you say about the school system today and what it
Well,
was like when you were a kid?
I don't know. I don't know if they cared anymore than they do today. I just think the atmosphere is so different. You can't say anything without for fear you're going to offend someone. We've gotten so politically correct, and I'm gay, so you know I understand where you could get your feelings hurt. I don't care. The only thing that bothers me is when someone calls me queer. I'm not queer. I'm not weird. I'm not odd. But getting back to the question, um, I think it's everyone was so preoccupied with technology these days that we forgot the basics. Um, as I said, just having dinner together, we forgot the basics. I saw um, it was a few years ago, a couple years ago, that they took uh, um, they took almost 1,000 high school seniors, and they asked them just simple questions, and like 80% of them thought that Germany was on our side in the Second World War, and it's like we're really failing somewhere. Um, yeah, I can't blame it solely on teachers because when I was a kid, my parents always made sure that they checked my homework. I had teachers that were committed. Um, Now I think there's a bunch of teachers that probably should be committed to somewhere, and it's a lot of it is on the kids too because they don't have the respect that we were raised. My age were raised that you respect your teacher and you don't threaten them, you don't throw things at them, you don't argue with them. Um, you respected your teacher, and
And they
I
could
think,
beat your ass.
and yeah, I believe me, I got paddled more than once. It got to the point I started getting an erection because I liked it, but that's a different story. Um, but no, I think a lot of it is we've just lost so much respect um, in our elders and each other in the process. And now with the political thing that's going on, everyone hates each other, and it's really not a good time in America right now. It's a shame. It really is because it wouldn't take much to get back to where we used to be. Um, it would probably help if both parents didn't have to work their asses off to be able to support their kids. But at the same token, they don't have to provide them with every goddamn latest bullshit out there. If it means cutting 20 hours off a week so your kid doesn't have the newest computer or whatever, I can kind of pretty much guarantee your kids would appreciate it in the long run. So a lot of it starts with the family. It really does, and there's just not a lot of family anymore. It's not like it was back in the '60s, where mom stayed home and you got in trouble. Wait till your dad gets home. Of course, I never did that. My mother took care of that pronto. My dad traveled, so I saw my dad on the weekends. So my mother she was a strong woman, and she raised 4 kids basically on her own. Um, but again, it was that time that mom was always there. She baked cookies for the PTA, and if you got a scratch on your knee, you ran home, and mom was there. Now, they run home and no one's there. They have to take care of themselves, and it's not cool. I don't think I'd like to be a kid these days.
Well, no, and that's another thing I would have to input on this one is y'all's parenting these days sucks. Y'all suck at parenting. Whoop your kid's ass. Teach them a fucking lesson. Don't let them get away with the shit they get away with because I would get my head knocked off for the shit you guys get away with these days. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate my young subscribers. We appreciate you guys. But your guys' generation is not doing good these days.
Yeah, it's Scotty's right, and um, I I'm kind of mentoring a young man. He's 19, and he's got a lot going for him. He wants to be a writer, and he went through juvenile hall. He made some mistakes when he was younger, but his parents dropped him off at the mission when he was 18. Just dropped him off. It's like you're on your own after he spent like 4 years in juvenile hall, and it's like You fucking pigs. You would do that to your child? Really? You disgusting degenerate. I don't think there's really anything that my kid that would do that could be so bad that I would just completely disown him like that.
And put him in a homeless shelter for
Yeah, and
fuck's
put him in a
sakes.
home. I mean, Jesus Christ, put him in, an outreach program, something to help them, but just to drop them off. I mean, so anyway, I digress. I mean, that's why I try to help the kid. He's got a lot on his shoulder. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think for the most part, he's pretty respectful. So there's something to work there, work for, or work with rather. Um, but yeah, um, that goes back to families. I mean, it's not only the kids; it's the parents. Uh, it's just such a wide divide anymore. It's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, that's the difference between being raised in the '60s and being raised in the mid 2000 2025. Um, yeah, I would really hate to have a family these days. I'm glad I'm gay and I didn't have them. I have my cocker spaniel and my young gay youth that I'm trying to mentor, and that's good for me. Man, I wouldn't want to raise kids now. What a pain in the ass.
So I mean, I guess another question would be, what was it like? This is more of a hard hitting question, I guess it would be. Living after your dad passed. So that's more of a hard hitting question, and I know that one hits the spot.
No, that's
But I
fine.
mean, I
That's
think
all right.
people need to know,
Yeah.
especially if you guys have lost your dad or any situation like that. In this situation, it's perfect to talk to Skip because Skip has been through it. So it's one of those things that I prefer to ask him.
Yeah, I think being a teenager, I always thought my dad was an idiot. The old saying that the older you get, the smarter your parents get. It's really true. I was never really real close with my dad, um, and which is a shame because now I look now, it's like I would have been so cool to just be able to sit at a bar and have a beer with my dad. He was far from an alcoholic. He drank, but he wasn't a drunk. But just to hear his stories from the Second World War and growing up playing football. God, he played for the Bears after the war. He had a scholarship to Wyoming, to CSU. He was pretty amazing athlete, and he was a successful guy. He raised a great family. I don't talk to half of them, but they turned out pretty well. And so I guess my biggest regret is he didn't give me the direction. My mother, God rest her in peace. I adored my mother. She was God, she was a queen. But unfortunately, she wasn't much of an authoritarian with me. I was the youngest, and so she got me out of a lot of shit, and she bailed me out quite a bit. And she never gave me a problem. She just, whatever I needed, she took care of. Never had to pay for school, never had to do anything like that. So she probably didn't do the best by me as far as discipline. So I look after my dad died, things changed quite a bit. First of all, I had to be the surrogate husband to my mother. She was only 52 when he passed away. Which I look back now, she's I'm 61. It's like wow. So my brothers had their families and they had their heads up their asses. I can't stand either one of them. I'll share that with you. My sister and I are really close, but she had her own family, and she was uh, she was a flight attendant, so she was traveling quite a bit. So it was mom and me, and so I had to grow up really quick. Mom was fragile. Um, In fact, she was pretty high maintenance. She really was. I I don't know how Dad did it, but so I learned pretty quick that she was high maintenance and she needed a surrogate husband. She went 40 years, over 40 years, without getting remarried, and she, Dad was, uh, she said, when you have the best, why try to replace it? And it's, they were in love, and they had a good marriage. Um, so it wasn't a part of, wasn't so much companionship as I just had an obligation that I made to my dad, I made to myself, that I'd take care of my mom, and so it wasn't a burden at all. But it was a responsibility, and when you're 19 and you take on multiple houses, and you know there's just a lot, and quite frankly, I had to keep my grades up, I had to keep my scholarship, I had my fraternity, I have the team that I had to, I had to keep my grades up. I worked for a congressman. I mean, it's um, you know yeah, you grow up really fucking quick, and I guess that's probably why I'm kind of a hard ass. I don't mean to be. I really don't. I think I have a lot of compassion for people, but at the same token, it's like fucking tighten up. Stop being a
Fucking
pussy.
tighten up,
Tighten up, bitch.
fucking pussy.
Stop being a pocket pussy. Um, so I have a real hard time with people that can't control their emotions. Um, and again, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's who I am. I just I'm a I'm a hard ass, and I just sometimes I just want to
So,
straighten them out the right way.
yes, follow up question to that one should be another hard hitting one. Is what it was like after you lost your mom,
Oh, jeez.
and what was your mom like?
Uh,
So, I mean, you can explain your dad. But how did you explain your mom?
yeah. Wow. Um.
Got him with a tearjerker on this one,
Oh
guys.
yeah. Yeah. It really is, because oh, mom, she was everything to me. She was gosh, she was my biggest supporter. Um. She was also in politics. She was the chairman of the Women's Republican Club, and talking about packing caucuses. Oh my God, the Babs and Skip show, man. We we ran that fucking county, man. She was a strong woman, very intelligent. Um, she made my dad really who he was. Um, he was a successful guy, but it was really my mom. Very intelligent, came from a very good family, um, uh, very wealthy family. My mother's family is old money, and so she was what?
From England.
Oh, oh, very good. Well, we're Irish and Catholic, so it's thank you for watching me and not shutting me off. So, yeah. So anyway, uh, I she was very intelligent. Raised. She went. When most women were going to secretarial school, she was going for. She was in college, and back in the 40s, and um, she was very. We were Republican, but she worked for John Kennedy, and she was actually, I think she was Republican. My dad was, but and I was, but I think she always had a liberal streak in her. Um, but when I lost my mom, I actually retired at 42. Part of the reason why is my mom was in kidney failure, so I was doing home dialysis on her every night. So when you experience that, yeah, you get really close. And mom and we were extremely close. And again, I was the youngest in the family, so we had a close relationship before that. But um, I think with my mom, she was one of those that she had kids, but she never really liked to be around them, until they were in their teens. And then she was the greatest mom you could think of. Playing cards, taking us. We'd always make her sit in front of the window in the in the dining room so we could look through and cheat. So you'd always lose in cards. You can never understand why. But yeah, so she when she passed away, I had a lot of guilt because she fell and broke her hip, and it's because I wasn't there to help her. So I have a lot of guilt for that. So that's kind of hard. But my mom she was so tough. She was very hard on my sister. It's funny, how mother daughters, they're either like this or they're just really close. Well, my mom and sister were like that, and my sister has a problem with how tough my mom was with her. Well, she raised her to be the tough woman that she is today, and she raised three kids basically on her own as well. And she wouldn't have been able to do that without my mom being so tough on her. But unfortunately, my mom was very lax with my brothers and me. Um, Basically, after college, we were fucking idiots. I mean, I knew nothing but filing my taxes, for Christ. I haven't had to do that until just recently. And so it's, living life like that. She always did it for us. We always had household help. It was always done. We never. I didn't know how to make a bed until I was in college. Um, and so I don't know if that's good or bad. Um, she babied the hell out of my brothers and me, and that yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. But yeah, she was well educated, she well traveled, well spoken, beautiful woman. In fact, that's my tattoo. I have Babsy on it. That was her nickname. Um, she was a pretty remarkable woman. I miss the hell out of her. I look back. I basically gave up 10 years of my life for my mom, and God, I'd do it in a New York minute again if given the chance. But,
We're not ignoring your guys' comments. I see them, and so this Jim Carvin said, "Sorry to hear that. I'm currently losing my mom to cancer. I feel your pain." And then he said, "It wasn't your fault. Don't beat yourself up over it."
uh,
And
well, thanks, Jim. Thanks. It means a
appreciate
lot.
appreciate that. The good words. Thank
Means a
you
lot.
guys. Um, Also, if you guys have questions, let me know. Because right now, so we're gonna ask a little more lightning questions, I guess it would say, because those were hard hitting questions, but we had to throw them in there somewhere. But um, so another one. I mean, you said you have brothers and sisters.
Uh-huh.
Well, tell us about
I have two
what they were
brothers.
like, and
They're older than me. They were, I think they're like 15, 14, 15 years older than I am. Um, my parents were, my dad was a cattle buyer. So back then, my brothers and my sister, they were all kind of raised together. And, they'd go on cattle buying trips with my dad. They were raised riding horses and roping cattle and all this stuff. And as my dad got older, he went to work for a pharmaceutical company. So raised totally different. I was not raised riding cows. Uh, I was raised playing golf and going to the country club and playing tennis and sailing. So it was totally different ways of being raised between my brothers and my sister. They'd go camp out and all this stuff. And with us, we'd take, a golf vacation. Or, we're part of Arnie's Army back. You guys don't know that Arnold Palmer was one of the greatest golfers ever. And we used to have Arnie's Army, and every U.S. Open, whatever tournament Arnold Palmer was in, man, Arnie's Army was there, and I was part of that with mom and dad. So that's the difference between them and me. I traveled with my parents a lot. I was never allowed to play baseball because mom said you're not going to screw our summers up playing baseball. So I was never allowed to do that, which is fine. I hate baseball anyway. But yeah, so big difference between my brothers and my sister. My sister was a little different. I'm really close with my sister. She was like my second mom. Um, as I said, my mom hated babysitting, so that was kind of up to my sister. Um, she really kind of raised me. Mom had this intrinsic need to play tournament bridge, which she played quite a bit. So she was a kind of a card shark. So while she was doing that, my sister was pretty much raising me. So that's why I have a real close relationship with my sister. But yeah, I don't get along with my brothers. They're these Trump maniacs, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with supporting Donald Trump. If that's your prerogative, that's great. Understand why you support him. That's all I ask.
Don't be all crazy
No,
about
I'm
it.
not. I'm not.
No, not
I'm not.
you.
Yeah, don't get
Saying if
crazy.
you're gonna follow him, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Do that,
cool.
but don't get all crazy about it.
Yeah, and the
Just
same
because
thing.
somebody has a different opinion than you.
Yeah, I might, and I believe in a lot of things that he does. I just don't like the guy personally.
Well, see, and that's
That's the only thing.
where me and Skip we're coming more to terms because he's starting to see things that he's doing a little differently. But I will say some of the shit he does is out of control.
Yeah,
And all you supporters, y'all need to calm her down. You don't need to get in a fist fight just because somebody disagrees with you.
yeah.
Me and Skip don't me and Skip don't agree on a lot of politics shit, but we don't fucking come to blows over it. I'm not gonna reach across the table and punch him in the face because he said he doesn't believe what Trump says.
Listen, I'm still a conservative Republican. Again,
up, crazy?
I gave my life up since I was 14 years old when I started in the Young Republicans. So don't get me wrong. I'm still a good Republican, but physically, socially, no. I'm a bleeding heart liberal. What you do in your bedroom is up to you. I don't believe in transvestites in sports. Even being a gay man, I don't believe that men should be competing with women in sports. I think maybe there should be a different category. Um, uh, uh,
Show the watch again. Hold on, guy.
well,
Put it up closer.
all right. That's my little bling. That's my midlife crisis right there. It's my.
Sorry, Kurt. This dude asked to see it. So
all right, very good. Thank you. No, it's there was a great story. Most of you don't know who I'm talking about, but Ronald Reagan, who was a great orator, one of the greatest presidents some people think that we've ever had.
yes, he was,
and I would not disagree with that.
He definitely was.
His best friend in the Congress was Tip O'Neill, who was
Yeah.
a liberal Democrat from Massachusetts.
Yep, bad choices.
And there were some great stories when I worked for my congressman. We'd be stuck in a car for hours together, and he would tell me some of these stories.
My bad.
Back in that would happen back in DC. But politics were a lot different back then. Yeah, you had Orrin Hatch, who was a conservative Republican Mormon from Utah, and his best friend in Washington was Ted Kennedy, a liberal Democrat from Massachusetts. That's the way things used to be. You could actually have a relationship and disagree and not want to kill each other. And unfortunately, that's just not the way it is anymore. And it's a real shame because, back then, um, our representatives stayed in Washington and they developed relationships with each other. They went to dinner parties, they played golf, they, did this, did that together. Now, the constituents, they want them back in their districts every goddamn chance they have. So they don't have a chance to develop relationships, and they get into these caucuses, and it's my way or the highway, and there's no flexibility anymore. Everyone's so fucking rigid and so full of hate. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left. There's just a lot of hatred going on. It's nonsense. Politics is still politics. It's just bullshit. Get over it. It's a game. And they don't listen. In DC, they don't believe that. They put on a good show, but it's all just a big game. And you all that get so worked up and so mad and so belligerent, it's like, Jesus Christ, just relax.
I know you don't gotta riot just because somebody doesn't agree with you. Like that's not necessary.
No.
You don't gotta fucking go throw shit through other
No.
people's windows that didn't have
No.
anything to do with even the argument.
That's why we've gone to wars, is
Yeah.
to protect our right to protest and to disagree with each other.
That's the point of it.
That's the whole point of America.
That's the whole point of a protest in the first place. Like
Well,
you are literally like we are founded on protests and
Yes.
fucking you guys are out here shooting each other and shit
Yeah.
because you don't agree.
Because you don't want us to protest. Well, that's in the Constitution.
And that's not even like not even with your I mean, don't get me wrong, even gang life is political in some type of way. But like even that is nonsense. Y'all are out here shooting each other because you have
Yeah.
different opinions.
Yeah.
Then you get into the fucking politics, and then they're blowing shit up and shooting each other because somebody said they don't like Trump. Which I mean,
Well, he's still my president.
well, yeah, he's still our president. You
Whether
still
I
need to
agree with
respect
the
it.
guy or not, I still respect the office and I respect him. I don't, again, I don't agree with him and I don't particularly like him as a human being, but he is my president and I will support him. I want, if he does a good job, it's good for the country. So, think of it that way.
Yeah, it makes us look good instead of what we look like right now, which is
Yeah,
terrible.
it's pretty harrowing what we look like.
We look like we fucked everything up real quick.
Yeah. Well,
So, I guess I would mean. What was the question I had now?
oh, well, my brothers.
Well, no, yeah. What did you explain your brothers?
Yeah. Yeah. One lives here in Boise, and another one lives in a town about 2 hours away, south in Twin Falls. My sister's outside of Tampa in Brandon, Florida. And so we're kind of dispersed, but I really haven't talked to them in a long time. And it's fine. Um, you know, I guess after my mother passed away about 10 years ago, I realized that if you have something toxic in your life, you need to get rid of it because it's just going to bring you down, and it's affecting your quality of life. And I found that my brothers were toxic to me. And I'm just not going to have it. I'm too old. I've lived through cancer. Scottie and my friends helped me in February. I spent most of February in the hospital
Or on the floor?
or on the floor, passed out. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I was having some heart issues, and as soon as I got out of the hospital, I had a heart attack. So, um, I've been going through some health issues, and I guess you start in retrospect. You start thinking about what's important in your life, uh, and I think you know I think good friends. I think your quality of life, and I mean quality by doing what makes you happy. I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not any brilliant guy, but I am 61, and when you've been through the meat grinder a few times, um, you start questioning what makes life really worthwhile.
Guys, we're gonna have to move over into the sun because I think these sprinklers are probably gonna hit us.
I don't think so.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
those might. I don't know. We'll find out.
yeah.
If we can start getting wet, then you'll
Yeah.
know.
You see me shrieking, running away
Like a girl.
like a girl.
Um. So was it? I
Oh,
mean,
all right. Well, how about the nightclub business in the '80s? The best music ever written came out of the '80s. My favorite, Depeche Mode,
it's very debatable.
The Cure, The Clash. Um, let's see, Dexy's Midnight Runner, um, Flock of Seagulls, David Bowie, of course, he's a god. There were some amazing bands out of the '80s, and I listen to that shit every night before I go to bed. Kind of brings back a lot of memories, and I guess probably whatever whatever decade you're raised in, that's the kind of music you like. But I still think the '80s was pretty damn cool.
Ozzy, we love you.
Ozzy, sure. I
Even
was
though you just did your last show, damn it.
never really into rock back then. So Ozzy was never one of my idols. I mean, he is now simply because he's such a wreck. Makes me feel better about myself, I guess.
Pink Floyd. There you go. Pink Floyd.
Pink
Yeah.
Floyd, Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, there's a lot of cool bands. But I just never was into rock. And it's funny because back then I hated disco. God, I hated disco. And being the old queen that I am now, I love disco. I mean, it's just Earth. Um, some of those gals.
I thought you were gonna say Earth, Wind, and Fire.
My brother-in-law's favorite band.
That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I know.
Yeah, how do you like that name drop?
Yeah,
Just out of nowhere.
yeah.
That's I thought that's where
No,
you're
I
going.
will
I'm
say
like,
the
well,
Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones were second to none. I saw them in Red Rocks in '86, and that was probably the best concert I've ever been to. That was wild, but I can remember at least.
I mean, I love the Beach Boys too, just because they're legends. But I don't really like your
That
music.
doesn't mean I would go to see them.
No, I wouldn't go see them, especially not now.
No, God, they're all dead. Well, close. They should be.
Pretty close.
Yeah,
Even if they're not, they
they're
probably
older.
look
They're
old.
older than I am.
Probably can't stand like Ozzy couldn't stand.
Yeah, yeah. Poor Ozzy.
I felt bad. It was such a sad show to watch. 'Cause I'm like, aw,
Yeah,
because he kept trying to get
yeah,
up, but they had
yeah,
him strapped to the chair,
yeah,
so he couldn't do it because they didn't want him to fall.
yeah. That's. I hope they don't have to feed him too.
No, he can do all that shit. He just
He can
can't
do it.
walk
He
no
just
more,
can't walk. Well, all right. Not too
and he
far.
can't sing anymore.
Not
I
too far
guess
from that.
he he didn't sing very good in that one, but because he's old.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
So I mean, what was the partying like when you were a teenager?
Well, not so much my teen years, but in the '80s.
I'm talking like high school years.
Oh, high
So
school.
you
We.
had to have partied in high
Oh
school.
God, yeah. We had our kegers.
I know movies
Yeah.
that prove it.
Oh yeah. Pretty much every Friday night we'd go out. We'd hit a deserted uh, dirt road and we'd have a keger. Sometimes on the lake, one of us would sneak our parents' boat out or something, and yeah, a lot of skank weed. Um, a lot of cheap beer. Yeah, Leonard Skinner. In Florida, you'd make fun of the fat Canadians, the white fat Canadians on the beach. Uh, we'd again smoke our skank and make fun of people. Yeah, it was a great time. It was a very innocent time. Um, the Fast Times at Ridgemont High. If you remember, if you've ever seen that, pretty fucking accurate.
Or fucking what is it now? Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused. Yeah, that was a little.
My dad told me the times where he remembers when they were out having those parties like that,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh.
it's what they did. They took their fucking cars that are way better than the cars now. Just so you know, car factories, you blow nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to bring back a 1967 Chevy Camaro
Yeah.
and a 1967 Chevy square body pickup.
Or
Stop fucking with the old shit.
my 1979 Cutlass. Oh man, that was quite a car.
Fucking
Yeah, it was. Of course, then we had our Camaros, and I had one, and with the T tops and the yeah, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, uh, girls weren't so open as they are now. So there was a lot of sexual frustrations going on, which was great for gays because all bets were off, man, when you're a horny teenager, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, the '80s it was a lot of fun to party back then. We did a lot of it every Friday night, man. In fact, I think our prom, they actually lost money on our prom because no one went. We went to a kegger instead. It was like a bad Cheech and Chong movie many times.
it's pretty much all me and my friends did.
Yeah,
My parents would call me and ask me where I'm at. I'm like, I'm over at my buddy's Dunkin's drinking,
yeah,
and they're like, okay,
yeah,
just don't come home all fucked up. I'm
yeah.
like, okay, I'm not coming home.
No, but yeah, my parents never really knew that about me. I was always a pretty good kid with them. But and yeah, that's another thing. I enjoyed being around my parents. I always had a lot of fun with my parents. My friends always wanted to be around my parents. We had a lot of good times. I wasn't one of these, like a lot of my friends that just couldn't stand being around them. Um, and a lot of my friends' parents were kind of douchebags, but not my parents. They were always a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah. So the '80s it was a very innocent time, and we didn't have to worry about the shit that's going on now. And I hate to sound like an old man, but a lot of it is technology. We're just way too advanced. Everything is so uptight now. Everyone's so nervous and uptight. We know everything about each other. There's no privacy, and it's just, again, I hate to sound like an old man, but I just really, it's not cool anymore, man. I mean, I shouldn't know everything about you. That should be developed with a relationship.
Definitely should know what your insides look like before I know you. You fucking
Yeah, I
nasty
know. I know.
little skanks.
Well, that was your problem. You looked.
They're putting it on fucking TikTok and YouTube. If you're gonna do weird stuff, do it in your bedroom with your door closed, not where we can all see it. You fucking
That's
freak.
fine. That's fine. Unless
Stop being weird.
yeah. All
Grow
right.
up.
All right.
Not you. Them.
Oh, all right. Sure. That too.
That's
All right.
coming from a 33-year-old. Fuck your technology other than this. If we could just keep YouTube, we'd be good. I'd be cool with that. At least that way we could come on and do this.
Oh, so I'm drinking our sponsor, Debbie, because it is true. It doesn't make me jittery, and it's actually tastes pretty good.
Promo code sponsor.
Yeah. So go
Use
out
it.
and try it. It's really good. It's good stuff.
Doesn't fuck your stomach up.
No, it doesn't make you jittery like that other stuff. Because after like 2 cups of coffee, I'm like ready to jump, climb a wall. And then you get those energy drinks. And another thing, and I'll say Red Bull, know if I can, but Red Bull, when it first came out,
Fuck off,
we
Red
were
Bull.
very promotional. And you'd get these kids in, they would take a top shelf vodka and mix it with Red Bull. And god damn, back then it was like a $15 drink. And it's like, God, you idiots. You drink the Welsh shit, it tastes the same when you mix it with Red Bull. But anyway, I can never understand that. So you had a wired drunk. Never could quite get that.
Oh,
That's
because
why
when you drink a Red Bull,
yeah,
it wakes you up more,
yeah,
so you can drink more.
yeah. Well,
That's why they
why
do
I
it.
did Coke.
That's exactly why they put it like that. That's why when I was doing meth and drinking,
Mm-hmm.
I could
Yeah.
do it. I went for 12 days
Oh,
drinking
yeah.
like it was nothing.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's why I did Coke. I mean, I haven't done it in like 25 years, but God, I'd go through an 8-ball every day, day and a half, maybe.
So that would be another question we have. When and where and why did your addiction start?
Wow, good question. Well, being raised in the nightclub business, I mean, I've been doing it. I used to, in school, I used to um, be what they call a bouncer. I never referred to them as that, simply because you always, a bouncer has the wrong connotation. You always have some meathead that wants to try to see if they can beat the bouncer, which never works because there's always like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 behind them that's going to beat the shit out of you. So no, not a good idea. But so I've been around alcohol my entire adult life, and it made my living. And as far as Coke, again, being in the club business in the '80s, one time I had a bartender. We had a VIP, and great guy, really liked him. Everyone liked him, but my bartender came up and he said, "Skip," he said, "he keeps tipping me in Coke," and he said, "I can't make my mortgage payment with Coke." So I ended up having to buy it from the bartender, But it was just so prevalent, it's. I don't know if there's really a drug now. I guess meth that would be as prevalent as Coke was back in the '80s.
It's pretty, or fentanyl.
Or fentanyl, yeah.
Fentanyl's pretty fucking
Yeah,
it's more prevalent than anything.
See, I never got into that because I always thought I'm not going to get into a dirty drug like heroin or meth or crack, because I just for some reason I thought cocaine was just pure, and weed's all right, it's natural,
Don't do meth
yeah,
or
bad
heroin
stuff,
or
stuff.
fentanyl.
Yeah, in fact, I had a drug test. And I thought I bought a cart from someone, or used a cart from someone, and it was laced with meth. Never done meth in my life. Again, if you do it, it's none of my business. But if I'm going to come up positive, it's like I want to at least see what it was like, But I came up positive for meth at 61 years old. It's like I'm a little long in the tooth to start meth now.
You'd probably have a heart attack if you did meth.
Probably.
His heart would probably explode if you did a fucking line of meth.
And rightfully so.
Probably,
so.
it's a one-trick pony right there. You're going bye-bye.
Yeah. Probably an old man. I probably would deserve that.
You're gonna flop to the ground probably like a fish.
Like a big fish. Big, fat, gray-haired fish.
I know, because there's times where I thought meth was gonna make my heart explode.
Yeah.
There's times where I could literally put my hand, not necessarily actually touching my chest.
No.
It's in front of my chest without my hand touching, and I could feel my chest pumping out far enough and hitting my hand, and I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And then I'd go and do another line and be like, do it again, like, definitely gonna die.
I had a friend from a very well-known family, old money family. He had a heart attack at 24 because of Coke. And so, when you do that shit, I'm not passing judgment on anyone. I hope you don't get addicted to it. That's the only thing that I ask. Is just watch yourselves, because man, I tell you what, fighting an addiction, it's not fun.
Just say no.
Just saying, because it's like this consuming thing. It's your whole fucking life revolves around it, and it's so boring. God, it's monotonous. Um, you know, my addiction. I'm not going to let my life be ruled by my addiction. It's not going to happen. We were talking about it the other day about when you're in AA or NA, how your higher power, you're supposed to let your higher power rule your life. And it's like, fuck that. I rule my life. I'm not going to let some goddamn entity in the clouds rule my life. It's not the way it's going to happen. I pray for strength. That'll always pray for is give me strength to get through this. But when you hear these people saying that they're conversing with God, you need to be in a fucking mental institution. I've never conversed with God in my life.
That's weirdo
I've prayed
shit.
to him. He's never talked back to me. If you do, then really you should be on some kind of pharmacological regimen.
If you hear God, go to a mental institute. You're weird.
You need help.
Stop it.
Just
Stop it.
no.
If you don't do that, I will smack you on the nose with a newspaper.
No.
If you think you're
don't get me wrong. Listen, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But no, they've never conversed with me. Never.
if I ever hear God, I'm probably gonna pee down my leg.
I'll pee down your leg too.
That'd be weird. I'd never seen no fucking. Something comes to me and says it's God, I'm probably gonna jump off a bridge or something. Like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't play this game anymore. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's not what I signed up for.
No.
That's why I don't believe in it, because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I respect everybody's religion, because at the end of the day, cool, it gives you something to believe in to make you feel better. But don't come to me and be like, you should believe in God, because I'm gonna be like, you should suck my nuts.
Well, I mean, I believe in my dog too, but I'm not going to go around praying to a cocker spaniel.
I mean, I believe he's there, but I don't.
Yeah.
He's not my fucking holy.
No. It's
free
will. Hey, it's free
That's
will.
like me. I see. I consider my mother my higher power,
Yeah.
and that's because my mother is the. She's an angel.
No.
I love my mom. My mom is one of those people that should have given up on me a long time ago, but she never did. And then somehow, by some miracle, spiritually, a miracle, not your goddamn Jesus shit, but me and my brother somehow got sober, which I never thought was gonna happen ever in my life. I thought I was gonna die a drug addict for sure. My brother, I don't know. I always hoped he would make it out, and then now that he is, it's different. But
well, you have a different perspective when you're on the other side and you live through it. I've had a lot of friends. What you guys have to realize too is the '80s were great, but they're also a pretty horrible time to be gay. I had to leave politics. That's one of the reasons, because I decided I didn't want to be some closeted pervert. I wanted to be who I am. And being in Republican politics in the '80s and coming out of the closet, it was not good. And I gave up a lot. My county party actually wanted to uh, uh, wanted to they wanted to introduce a resolution um, for me to be able to run for a House seat, but I was too young. I was only 20. I think you had to be 21 back then. So I mean, that's how involved I was. But I realized, I still have to be who I am. And that's one thing I would like you young folks to really understand. You need to be true to yourself. Because if you're not true to yourself, how can you be true to anyone? And so I made some major changes. And again, getting back to the 80s being gay, if you remember, that's when the AIDS epidemic, that's when it started, is in the early 80s. And, I faced even my brother and sister-in-law. I was visiting them one time. They wouldn't let me drink out of their glass because I was gay. And it's like their glasses. And it's like, so I lived through a lot of discrimination. And when I was saying earlier that I didn't believe in young people saying that they're queer. Queer was in my generation. It was weird and uh, um, unnormal, uh, peculiar. I'm not. I'm gay, but I don't think I'm particularly weird. Um, of course, Scottie would probably disagree with that, but um, so it just really, the hair on my neck goes up when I hear young people say that they're queer, because that's what people call it. That's what gangs used to call you when they were beating you up, and so that's why I have. I don't mind you calling me a fag. It's fun. I don't care. But queer, yeah, I have a real hard time with that. Again, it was because of my age and being raised in the 80s. Um, it all had to do with AIDS, because if you had AIDS, you're a freak, you're a weirdo, you're a pervert, you deserved whatever you got, and it's really not true. I lost a lot of good friends, a lot of good people, a lot of good men that we lost, basically a generation. Knock on wood, never had and I was a slut when I was young. Oh God, I was a pig. But never had a sexually transmitted disease, never had anything like that. I don't know how I got away with that, but yeah. So a lot of my personal experiences revolve around um, that decade of being gay and realizing that was a dirty word. Um, you know, Thankfully things aren't quite as bad now. Actually, they're pretty damn good. I think even people my age are accepting it now. Um, which again, I'm morality. I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying accepting each other as we are. Um,
Yes, so don't
and
be a fuckhole.
you're a fuck what?
I said, so yeah, so don't be a
Yeah.
fuckhole.
All right. Yeah. Don't be a fuckhole.
We don't like fuckholes over here.
No,
Well, unless you're
unless you're,
a pretty fuckhole.
yeah, a nice fuckhole, nice, moist.
Other than that, don't be a fuckhole. You don't gotta run around being hateful to people just because they're gay or different color than you or whatever weirdo shit that you hold on to that makes you think you have the right to hate on people. Just calm her down. You're literally wasting your energy and your life being mad and hating on other people because of the color of their skin or because they're gay. I mean, if you're pretending you're a cat, you should probably get smacked on the face a couple times. But
Oh,
just
seek
because that's,
therapy.
or I mean, maybe you should just stay outside. And
Yeah, shit in the sandbox.
yeah, most places don't allow animals, so if you're gonna be an animal, you have to stay outside. Fuckhole.
I suppose.
You're a fuckhole though.
No, it gets down to just in the last decade, we've just gotten so bitter and so mean and mad. It's like Jesus, really, life isn't that bad, really.
People are angry for no
I
reason.
know it's just a lot of anger going on.
I mean, now we're, I guess, building reasons to be angry because we are
Yeah,
doing more and more dumb shit.
yeah. Well, and it's not just America. I,
It's
you
the
know, I,
whole world is
the
just
whole world
getting
is
stupid.
just full of anger.
Everybody's getting mad, shooting at each other, blowing shit up, doing crazy shit because you think you have the right to do that, but that's not how it works. You can't just go around fucking shooting bombs at people just because you want to. Like, there has to be a good reason to be going to war, and we don't have any good reason to be at war right now. No, nobody does. Like, even the whole Ukrainian fucking
Well,
whatever. That I understand why they're at war now, because motherfuckers started shit, and then they have to defend themselves. But let's stop blowing shit up.
well, you know, it's not blowing shit up. It's people are dying.
Well, not
It's, you
too,
know,
but
it's
you're
just thousands of people are dying every day. And, you know,
well,
Ukraine
yeah.
over this. It's just well, not maybe
But I
not
mean, I don't get me
thousands,
wrong,
but
I
you
get
know,
that. But I'm also you got to really think about the damage that we're doing to our planet.
yeah, yeah,
Shooting bombs into it,
yeah.
exploding big holes in the ground, just because you want to kill people. If you want to go kill people, do it the old school way and take your ass out there with a
Yeah.
fucking gun and
Yeah,
shoot
just
each other.
take care of it personally. But no, you know, and
Fucking
that's
losers.
with what we're doing to our ecological system. It's just um, it's really terrifying. I'm glad I'm 61. Let's just put it that way. I'd sure hate to be 21 at this day and age. Um, I don't think I'd like it, and maybe that's why there's a lot of hatred going on.
It sucks to be 33 at this fucking
Yeah,
in this world.
yeah. I'd sure hate to have kids right now. Jesus.
That's what somebody asked me the other day if I had kids. No, I don't have kids because I am not gonna live. I'm not gonna raise a kid in this hateful, fucked up world
Yeah,
and make it to where I know that kid's gonna go through shit because I know the world's not going any good way.
yeah,
Like we're not heading in a good way at all.
yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we're shit's gonna get bad. We're either gonna die or we're gonna die. It's probably gonna be. I really hope it's. I hope it's a zombie apocalypse.
No, I don't. So I'd be the first one to kill myself.
I'm gonna move this over here. Guess we're gonna switch the fucking thing around too.
Hey, how are you, folks?
Why? Nope. I don't like it that way. Nope. Let's go back this way. Podcast views, guys. This is what you're seeing. Fuck off. Fuck holes.
And as if you noticed, I always wear weird shirts. That's kind of my shtick. So now I have my banana shirt.
If you've ever not heard of a banana shirt, what has it been?
Well, there you have.
Only in Florida.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a follow-up question. What the fuck was it like growing up in Florida? Around them Scientologists. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Forgot we were live. I was just kidding.
You never really, I don't know. I was no different than anywhere else other than, you know, you had an ocean, which was pretty fucking nice. And, you know, give South Florida its credit. You have such diversity down there. You know, you go into Miami and you have little Haiti and little Havana, you know, little Ecuador, and you know every neighborhood.
Little Italy.
Has, yeah.
I'm not Little Italy. Little fucking Chinese place.
Oh, Chinatown.
Chinatown.
Well, yeah, we didn't really have that, but we had a lot of Asian ethnic neighborhoods.
Fucking New Yorkers.
Yeah, a lot of New Yorkers. They gravitate to South Florida.
It's because they want to be fancy, but then they go back home and they live in shit.
Well, that's what we'd hire these kids. They'd come for spring break and they'd fall in love, so they wanted to come down and work in the summer. And they were great until about August when school would start, and then they couldn't wait to get out of there. You know, when it's 95 and 100% humidity, it kind of weeds out the pussies. Not calling anyone a pussy, but you know, not many people can handle it.
If you from your New York, you're a fucking pussy.
Can't say that.
Just kidding. Just kidding. There's probably people on here that watch me from New York, so it probably isn't
Actually, growing up in Denver was probably more interesting because you had my dad was in the ski troops in the Second World War, the 10th Mountain Division. So you learn to ski really quick. And Denver is a beautiful town, great town. I was back not too long ago. It's gotten so damn big, and so is South Florida. It just never stops growing.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I wish.
It just never stops growing.
Never
It gets
stops
so
growing.
big.
Yeah. Yeah, in your dreams.
Ask her.
Yeah.
I got one you can ask right now.
If you could get her eyes uncrossed.
My phone is a terrible place, bro.
So is my mind.
It really. If you look at my pictures,
Yeah.
anybody that knows me, you didn't hear me say that. Any girls I know from back home,
He's a perfect gentleman.
I am. You don't know. I don't have pictures of any
No,
of
he
you.
is. He's actually very respectful young man.
I am, unless you're
on the other hand, yeah.
I'm good with you unless you're a fuckhole, and then I'll tell you you're a fucking fuckhole.
Yeah.
Sound like fuckholes. Well, I mean, you do, but it don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty open with my opinions.
So am I for the most part, unless it's like some of the stuff I know about from back home.
Like this old man, he should not be riding around without a shirt on. That's just wrong.
Do you see your flab there, bud?
That's your
he doesn't
man titties hanging.
He doesn't have abs. He has flabs.
Yeah, that's not cool, man. I don't want to see that.
And they do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's another thing. I don't even care if people get mad about this. If your clothes don't fit you, don't fucking wear them. Don't be gross.
God, I hate
You're nasty.
I hate tight clothes on fat men. God, that's nothing worse.
On anybody. Who the fuck? Why the fuck?
Oh, muffin tops and all these girls that wear these.
Yeah, you fucking weirdos.
Oh my god.
Oh, you know what I forgot? I could put this over here because why is it like that? Why you gotta be that way? Okay. We have mics on.
Oh yeah.
So we don't even need it over here.
Yeah, good figure.
Forgot about that.
Anyway, isn't it pretty back here?
Yeah, so you guys got a good ass view now. Look at water.
Yeah.
And why does the fucking sky look so blue on that? Like different blue. Almost
greenish blue.
Yeah, and it looks like it goes down into white, but there ain't no white over there. I mean, except for us.
Yeah.
But look, see, it looks like it's white. Oh no, it was the angle of the fucking.
Anyway, guys, if you have any questions, if you'd like to know what it was like growing up 100 years ago, please let us know. I'd be delighted in answering any questions you might have.
What was your favorite car?
God, my favorite. Well, I've never really been into muscle cars, believe it or not. Even though I had, the Trans Am and all that stuff, I never. My favorite car would be a '47 Chrysler convertible with the wood on the side, the woodies. That was just an amazing car. Another one was I grew up with a '64 Fairlane Ford station wagon, and with a Chris Craft behind it. '64 was the last year that they made wood Chris Crafts. After that, it was all fiberglass. So I think that would be a dream combination: a '64 Ford Woody wagon and a Chris Craft. That'd bring back a lot of memories. Yeah, that would be a good combination.
Only one of I know of is the Woody.
Woody? Yeah.
So my dad used to call it. He says his grandma had a Woody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember my grandma had a Chevy Love. This little tiny Chevy Love.
Yeah.
And she used to take us out in it. I think somebody said something. Oh no, no, She used to take us out in this little fucking Chevy Lovedo, and we would go. It had this canopy on it and shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd sit in the back.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
I remember when she passed when I was 13. She passed away, and it was like a. That was what I talk about a lot. Is that was the changing of my life. That's why I asked when your drug addiction started, because my drug addiction started. I mean, I know exactly when it started. When I was 13 years old,
Yeah.
smoking fucking or doing pills.
Yeah. Mine was progressive, and it's because you're inundated with it. You know, back then, Coke was everywhere, booze was everywhere. X, still like X. I think it's fun. I laugh my ass off.
Yeah, where I'm from, we had a bunch of people that fucking sell their goddamn prescriptions to
Sure.
15, 16-year-olds.
Sure. That's not right.
A full bottle of pills, and they're selling them to us, and so we're going and doing pills.
Well, you know, that's what's bullshit is you have some fucking punk kid that steals his grandmother's medications, and then all of a sudden it makes it hard when you have. I live in physical pain every day, and it's so fucking hard to be able to get anything for pain because everyone's, you know, doctors are so frightened of being sued
Well,
or
yeah,
losing their license because of you know, opioid addictions and that sort of
well,
thing.
yeah, and see, that's another
You
thing
know,
about our generation. It's like, so in his generation, it wasn't a pill crisis. It
yeah,
was more a they were
it was
tired of these damn kids partying. It's more what it was about. Where us motherfuckers out here actually trying to save our lives, fucking, because we're
yeah. Well, when you have
growing
to
up as pill addicts. Like, who does that?
when you have to carry a thing of Narcan around with you because you never know if someone's going to OD.
That's the fucked up part. Yeah, that's another thing that's fucked up about our world now compared to back then. So back then, like, don't get me wrong, I have a dad that's about his age. My dad actually told me yesterday, the other day, he was 62, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Uh,
I'm like, I thought he was like 58 or 59 or something like that. And then he's telling me 62. I'm like, nah, you're lying to me.
uh,
And it makes sense because my dad is about 30 years older than me. And
yep.
I was like, what the fuck? And then, but we talk. I've listened to my dad talk. That's why I say your generation is more interesting than you think. Because, so this is the thing. If anybody didn't know this, he was hesitant on telling his story on here because he didn't believe that it was entertaining or people would relate to it. But that's one thing I've come to learn through my NA journey and everything that I've been through is if you don't like the best thing you can do for the world is tell your story because no matter how little it is to you, telling your story could mean a shit ton to somebody else and it could change their whole trajectory of the way their life's going. I know that I have people on here sometimes. This is Riley. This sometimes that talk about how they appreciate the videos and they appreciate that we talk and that I actually communicate with you guys. That's one of the things that we want to be a thing is we want to be able to get on here and communicate. Will you stop moving? Ow, you little fucker.
He
Stop.
doesn't like it up here. All right.
Because the table's too slidey.
Too slidey.
He didn't like that, but he scratched the fuck out of my arm.
No,
Little shit asshole. What was I talking about? But no, see, his addiction is different than mine. Well, and see, when I met him, his opinion, not to call you out or anything, but his opinion on drug addiction was he had seen it as worse than being an alcoholic.
No.
But then once you actually get into the full addiction of things, like we both still struggle with certain things. Um, I mean, I haven't done my thing in for I don't even a few months. I don't even know how long. 3 months now, I think. But it doesn't matter. It's still a struggle every fucking day not to do it. And it's weird because after you've been through so many rehabs and so many recovery groups and NA groups, which is a recovery group, anyways, you start to realize like drug addiction and alcoholism are really not that much different. And actually, alcoholism is more dangerous than being it. Any other drug addiction in the world other than fentanyl. Fentanyl and alcohol, I believe, are tied at number one right now because it's the most fatal to get off of. Because you once you've done a bunch of fentanyl like you're doing, and then you stop doing it, you could die. Just like drinking alcohol, when you as you're doing it, if you stop, you could die from doing it. That's why, well, like my meth addiction. Don't get me wrong, meth addiction was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Um, and that's not dismissing all the other bad shit that I did in my life because I've done some really fucking bad things, really fucking bad things that I can't talk about because if I do, it still haunts me to this day, and I could get shot for it. But what was I talking about?
Addiction and
Oh,
bad things.
doing meth. It was one of those things like I was explaining it to you guys the other day. I think I've told you about this too. So there's a story in the NA Big Book, not the AA Big Book, that talks about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it talks about how drugs change you from the person that you originally were into this evil person that is just like you're not recognizable by your family. Your family sees the evil in you. Everybody around you sees the evil in you. I remember being so drugged out the first time I went to rehab. This is a story I hate telling. This story makes me sad. So there's a girl named Adri, where I come from. If she sees this video, she knows who she is. Um, I was doing dope and I started hanging out with this chick because I've noticed, like, I was introduced to her by another friend. And I noticed every time I came into her house, she was always in the basement. And there's a couple times that she was getting in these fights with her moms where they're like screaming matches. And a lot of it's because she was high. Well, I started hanging out with her to try to help her get sober. And somehow it twisted around to me and her were hanging out in trap houses together. And she was coming over where I was staying and hanging out there. Well, I did this for months, back and forth, hanging out all the time. And then one day I'm in the bathroom with my shirt off, looking in the mirror, just kind of just in awe, just staring at myself, like, what the fuck happened? And I was already at that breaking point where you look at yourself and it makes you sad. And then she walks up into the bathroom, like, kind of puts her arm around me, and then she says, please go to rehab. And I was looked up in the mirror like, what'd you say? And she said, please go to rehab. And I said, what? Why? She says, because you're not just addicted, you're going to die. And I don't want you to die on me. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I looked at her and I hugged her. And then she left. And I was standing in the mirror looking at myself. And she had already been gone for about a half an hour. And I looked over at the toilet, threw the dope in the toilet, and was walking to the rehab. Like I was literally on my way to the rehab. And then I got all the way to the rehab and I called her. And she said, called me and said, what's up? And was still upset, asking me what I was doing. And I said, I'm standing in front of rehab. She said, what? And I said, I'm standing in front of a rehab. So I'm about to go in. I'm going to turn myself in and I'm going to go to rehab. And I remember her breaking down crying because that's all it took was for her to ask me because she wasn't doing good either. And at first I told her, if you go to rehab too. But then I kind of thought about it and I was like, fuck. Now it's kind of those things like if I don't, I know I'm going to die. And so, and I remember when I went to rehab, she was the only one other than my mom that ever came to visit. Like, even if she was high, she would still come to visit me just to let me know that I had somebody there. And she wanted to make sure I was getting better and that I stayed in rehab. And she would come almost every weekend and she would bring me my favorite candy. She'd give me, or make sure that I had tobacco, made sure I had everything I needed. And she'd hang out there for about a half an hour, bring this dude Justin, that's my buddy. Used to be my buddy, he's not my buddy now. I don't really talk to none of them. But I remember those were the times that I remembered in rehab is every time she'd show up. Because it was like that. When you first get sober and you start realizing everything, like it puts you in that mindset I don't deserve anything. I deserve to die alone, and that's how I felt. But this chick kept showing up for me, and I was just like, why? I don't deserve this. Like, I'm a fucking loser. And then my mom kept showing up. What? Well, go pee. There's a bathroom right over there.
All right.
I'll just keep it rolling.
All right. Go here.
Old man Blatter has to go pee.
Yeah. I gotta.
Why don't you tie him down?
All right. I'll be right back.
You're not going nowhere, dum dum.
I'm just gonna take my bike.
You're not going anywhere. Not you. Talking to the dog. Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't mean to kick you. I just kicked your dog. Sorry, guys. I kicked the dog on accident. I didn't mean to. But anyways, we were talking about that. How that girl was the reason I went to rehab for the first time, and she. I hope he knows that fucking mic's still on. So he's gonna. You guys might hear Skip peeing because he took the mic with him, and I didn't even try to stop him. It'd be funny if that's what happens. So we'll see. That was a crazy ass sounding bird. It sounded like a little kid going ah. Like it didn't sound like a bird. But anyways, so that fuck you too. Sorry, my backpack fell down. Can you guys hear me good from my ear? I have the mic direct on my hat, so I'm trying to make sure that you guys can hear it good. So please let me know in the chat. And thank everybody for coming in. Please like the live, and if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel to where I'm trying to get to at least 2,000 subscribers within the next week or so or two. I hope we get there soon because I put a lot of work into these videos. I spent a lot of time doing YouTube. Don't get me wrong, mostly because I love doing it. But as a creator, watching your channel grow, like, and having people subscribe and let you know that what you're doing is actually it makes a difference, like that helps more than you guys know. Because if I'm not out here making a difference, and you know, if we're not out here making a difference, then it's kind of defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that what we do means something. What we say to you guys means something. We want to make sure you guys are able to speak what you need to speak. If you need to speak it on here, we also have every. Oh no, I think it disconnected on the. It disconnected his mic, so at least we know how far it is. I don't know if it did or not. I can't tell. I think it did. But anyway, I didn't want to make him listen to MP anyway. So, anyways, that's good to know because that means the mic can reach all the way to this bathroom over here, which is actually probably like 100 yards away. So football field distance away. That's not bad. Hopefully, as he comes back, we'll see if it just reconnects or if I have to reconnect it. He may have, maybe he was smart enough to shut the mic off. Maybe that's why it disconnected. Maybe it wasn't disconnected because he's far away. Anyways, you know what? I want you guys to just know that I appreciate everything you guys do. Every time I come on here and we get subs and we get likes and we get everything we get, that's what makes this worth my time. That's what makes this important to me. Is I'm getting to know you guys. You guys are getting to know us as creators. Um, you're getting to know the real us. Not. I was talking about this the other day. A lot of YouTubers put on these fake personas, and try to act like something they're not, and we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. We're not out here trying to feed you guys bullshit. We're not out here trying to get you guys to buy things. We're not out here trying to get you guys to do anything really other than maybe sub to our channel and show some love that way. Hoping this fucking wind doesn't blow my phone over right now. I'm gonna be super pissed. Don't do it. Don't be an asshole right now. It's not necessary. Sorry, I was talking to my phone. I was not talking to the dog. I was talking to my phone. Thank you, anybody that comes in. We appreciate you. Even if you don't stay, we appreciate you. We have nothing but love for all you guys and appreciation for all you guys for everything that you've done for us. If it wasn't for you guys, none of this would be possible. So thank you guys so much for everything. I want to see how long it takes before the mic on his shirt reconnects because we have these lapels. As you can hear me. Hello. We have these lapels. Mine's flipped to my hat because it's better. You can actually hear me that way better. Oh damn, this man's got old man bladder or something. Taking forever. I hope these lapels work good though. Hopefully you can hear us good. Gooda. Gooda. Scooda. Das good. Anybody that comes in, let me know where you're from. I want to know where everybody's from. I'm from Boise, Idaho. I mean, I'm from Baker City, Oregon, but I live in Boise, Idaho. So, let me know where you guys are from. Please let me know where you're from. I'd appreciate it. Skip's back. His mic didn't reconnect though. Really glad that your fucking mic disconnected. You walked away with the lapel on your neck. But it disconnected, luckily, so it wasn't in the bathroom. So turn it back on. Huh? There's just a yellow button right here. There you go. Now we're back. I thought you guys were gonna have to listen to Skip P, but you didn't have to. What are you looking at?
Yummy, nice titties.
Why did it come over here, bro?
My vape died.
Your vape died?
Yes.
I have a solution to that.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool.
Here, grab your dog. Couldn't have found anywhere else.
I know. Well, anyway.
Just waiting for people to say shit in the chat.
Well,
It's weird. There's nobody out here. It's because the sprinklers are on
yeah.
at the worst time. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's worst time of day to be watering.
Yeah, because then it gets hot and it bakes the shit out of your fucking grass. That's why they have fucking brown spots all over the damn thing.
Yeah.
Stupid asses. I was talking about that. I said that the other day to the guy because of that spot right there. If you look right there, there's a big ass brown spot.
Yeah.
I said, hey, you know why you have those brown spots? And he's like, why? I said, because you turn your sprinklers on way too late. So if you're going to do that, do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And do it after the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the middle of the fucking
Yeah.
sun.
Well, what do you think? I think we had a good
We're still on, so
good session.
just gonna leave it on.
Well, I'm ready to go take a nap.
Bet you are, 'cause you always are. Surprised being old. I don't even know what time it is.
It's 1:45.
It's 1 o'clock. Got a bunch of people coming in.
Yeah, so it's a good time to.
I'm not just going nowhere. They get on camera. It's their fault. They're the ones that chose to come over.
So I should have done is brought my charger.
Yeah, I told
Well, I
you this.
didn't. It was full last night when I left when I came back, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna charge it, but it's full.
Never trust your bike battery thing.
Yeah.
Charge your battery every night. There's 2 people on here right now watching this.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening. These mics are so helpful. I can just put my fucking mic right there and just continue talking.
Yeah.
So glad that disconnected before you got to the bathroom.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was like, as you were going, I didn't stop you though, because you took off. And I'm like, well, Skip's going pee, guys. You might hear it. So if you wonder what's happening, that's what it is. Said he rode off with the mic on his chest. So nobody said anything. So I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I looked up and seen it disconnected. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yay.
Don't have to explain the peeing sound.
That's a handful. I had a friend that had two German, we called them German boxers. What they were, they were Mastiff and Boxer mixes. And these weighed like 170 a piece, and they were brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd take them running with me, and they were up to my waist, So I was like running like this. That was quite a sight.
I wouldn't want to do it.
One killed the other.
That would be like, oh,
terrible.
I better not knock my phone over.
It's terrible.
It's not a helicopter. Watch him just ran nowhere. Just fucking fly straight to the ground. I'm like, well, that just happened.
It was a fight for life. Now it's not so much.
Now it's a fucking
It's a fight
death
for
bomb.
death.
This is what you call a kamikaze fighter. I mean, that is what you call a kamikaze fighter. You can't hit it while it's charging.
I know.
Genius.
I know.
Why are you here? What do you want? Just kidding. What's up?
Well,
Somebody was on there and I was just talking shit. I did that yesterday. Like 20 people came in. I was like, why are you here? What do you want? And then Steve was like, isn't it? You're going live. And I said, yep. I said, but there's not supposed to be this many of you. Do not appreciate it. Stop it.
That Mexican kid, I want to tell him, you need to shut up more.
He does, because he's just a weird.
He is a weird kid.
Like, unexplainably weird.
It's just odd.
Stop it.
Well, anyway. Well, that was good.
Hey,
Are
shoot
you happy with it?
more videos.
I'm tired. I want to take a
You're
nap.
always tired.
I know. I didn't sleep well. I just don't sleep well.
And you're also not drinking your shit. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
so tired if you were drinking that.
No.
You're just taking little sips of it. Actually, drink some of it. That's the point of it. To give you energy.
I know.
If you're not drinking it, it can't give you energy.
Because I don't want false energy. If I'm tired, I need to go take a nap.
That is a bad example. This is how you do a product review. You drink it.
Well, if you had vodka, I would do it.
You were talking about how good that was going to be. Like,
It is. It's great. It's good stuff. I don't drink that fast.
So just drink faster.
Nope. I haven't.
Actually, take big gulps of it.
Only prudent.
Yeah, but now you're.
Well, so do we have any feedback on this, or
Do you not see all the comments right there?
I can't see any?
It's because you're blind. I don't even know if anybody's on here right now. Bring it closer, because we have little douchebags. Let's see what it's talking about. We were talking about rock artists earlier. I had all kinds of comments. Somebody got flagged for something. I don't know what he said though. Probably said something about a fag.
Probably.
I think that's when that happened. This ladies, did you hear about the new lesbian medication? Try cock again. I mean, we got some followers that are funny as fuck.
That's funny.
As soon as she said it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm not reading that.